Hello, my friends. In today's video, we are going to talk about the question that I sometimes get. This is a little less common, but it is worth discussing. I've been asked before, how does the hero's journey apply to my book? Is this a good structure I should consider? You may or may not have heard of the hero's journey before, but this is something that memoirists consider that might really work well for your book. So let's dive in and take a look at this. Now, in the last video, we talked about something called the 3-act structure, and I want to add a layer to that because this hero's journey kind of has 3 stages. So it may, you may feel like it sounds really similar, but the hero's journey is something that's been around for a very long time. Again, many of our most loved stories are structured in a similar way. But Joseph Campbell really put this on the map. He has a book that just lays this baby out. There are like 17 parts. We aren't going to get as detailed because I want to give you more of a higher level. And this works, the higher level still works really well for your memoir. But essentially what this is, it's a storytelling model, so a structure. And it almost perfectly mirrors how humans journey through the process of self-discovery and evolution, right? That's kind of what life is about. Discovering who you are, discovering your authentic self, evolving into a whole person. So your story may or may not feel like that's what it's about, but I guarantee every story has some element of growth and self-discovery. You're either growing stronger and standing up for yourself against a bully. You are growing more courageous in, doing new things, etc. So this hero's journey is really based on how we grow as a human, how we achieve things in our life, how we learn to be a better person. And that's kind of what most memoirs are about, right? Figuring out how to do something better, be something better, find a better place, live better, right? All of those things. So the main reason that it works so well is because it really mimics what really happens. And that is what our biggest challenge is as a memoirist, is we are stuck, we are bound by the truth. We are bound by real events. We cannot shape them in ways that aren't authentic to the truth. And this journey really mirrors so well to how things really happen in life. So let's dive in. The hero's journey can be boiled down to 3 stages. We're going to go over each stage in detail so you can kind of see how it fits in your memoir. Essentially, the hero's journey involves a hero. That's you. You're the hero in your memoir, heroine, right? You may not feel like you come out of this as this like hero, this queen, this heroine, this royal person, okay? But that's not what that word means, really. You essentially, you are a hero that goes on a grand adventure. You learn something that helps you win a battle, and then you return home a better version of yourself. That's doable, right? You can wrap your head around that one, right? You go on this adventure, you do something, right? You learn something, you overcome a conflict, you overcome something, and then you kind of return back to life, life. And you're better, and you're grown, you're more evolved. So the 3 stages are departure, initiation, and return. Departure is the first stage. Let's dive into that. It's basically where we start out in this innocence phase, right? In this place of like, everything's normal, everything's familiar, like the world is the world, and, you're going along life as you know it. Something happens, a crisis, something upsets your world. Maybe someone dies, maybe an enemy appears and creates conflict, right? Think of an enemy in your memoir as like an abusive husband or someone who hurts you in some other way, a boyfriend or whatever, a friend. It could be anyone, your mother, right? Another person is the antagonist here, the person against you. It could be a health challenge, right? There could be there's something, an accident, an illness, someone dies, whatever, right? This crisis, this event happens. This creates a call to action. You are called into action to either fight back against this, overcome this conflict, heal from the grief of the death, or, figure out how to create that new life that this death of this person required, because now all of a sudden they're not part of your life like they used to. So there is a call to action. You're launched into action. It's not really you might try to ignore it. You might try to fight it, but it's not something that won't happen in your story. That's why you have a story, because you actually accepted the call. Joseph Campbell talks about there's a moment where you might refuse the call and you're like, no. This isn't happening. Maybe you're in denial. Maybe you're like, no, I don't really have cancer. That doctor's lying. You're not falling for it. Tricks. But because you have a story, we know that you were called into action. That is where your journey begins. That's where you go on this quest. You do something, right? This is really where the story picks up steam. You leave your familiar world, things have changed. You're out in a different area. You're not where you're comfortable. You're not sitting at home in your comfort zone. You are going out trying to find help to, grieve through this death. You are trying to fight this illness. You are trying to overcome this antagonist who's bullying you in a particular way. This is not normal life. These don't happen in everyday lives, right? So you're searching for peace, answers, justice. You're searching for what Joseph Campbell calls the elixir, kind of that's your prize. That's your thing at the end of the rainbow, right? At the end of the fight, at the end of the journey, there is a treasure waiting for you. Now, typically in a memoir, that treasure is gained knowledge, wisdom. There's not you don't come out of the forest holding the golden goblet or whatever. I'm not good at this thing. This fantasy world stuff is not my thing, but you don't come out with this treasure chest of gold in your story. Instead, it's a treasure chest of wisdom, gold nuggets of wisdom. I know not to trust this, or I know not to do that, or I know how to heal myself. I know how to love myself. I know how to fill that void. I'm overcoming my addictions. I'm battling this illness. I'm battling this person. Now I know how to protect myself. So there's going to be a prize you win at the end. So again, departure, the first stage is where we see you kind of in this normal life. Something happens, you're called into action, and you are okay, it's time to get up and go, and you leave everyday life. Kind of, that's gone now. A great example is, what is the name of this book? I just read it. Come Home. I think it's called Coming Home. Anyway, it was written, now I have to figure it out. Oh my gosh, my mind is drawing blank. It was written by a mother-daughter, and it's they both write in it. And it's about this daughter's journey of battling a drug addiction and wanting to live on the streets and trying to run away from home, and her mom trying to drag her back. So in the beginning, we see the mom's story, and she's like, everything's normal. I'm, work is doing great. I just got this new gig or whatever. The daughter seems totally normal. She seems great. She's super sweet and respectful. And then all of a sudden, this thing happens where the daughter disappears and doesn't come back, and the mom is freaking out. And they somehow find her trying to live on the street and do all these drugs and not come home, right? This was the daughter's new mission. And the mom's call to action was okay, now I got to figure this out. This wasn't just a go find her and bring her back moment. This was something bigger. The quest is to get her daughter back home. The elixir, the treasure at the end, is having her daughter back home, right? So that's the mom's mission. The daughter's mission is a little different in this book, but eventually it's the same thing, to come home to herself and feel, confident and loved and accepted as who she is. So that's phase 1, departure. Phase 2, initiation, stage or phase, whatever you want to call it. So this person, the hero, is on the adventure, right? They're going to face obstacles. They're going to face enemies. They're going to face all of these external things and internal things. So bumps along the road, but also fighting demons, doubts, lack of confidence. You know, if someone's playing mental games with you, you might start believing them. You might start believing those things about yourself and doubting that you can do this. Along the way, you find tools and friends and guides and teachers, things that will help you. You gain these things. You need these things to help you along your way. Through this journey, you are overcoming your weaknesses, your personal weaknesses, while you're discovering this inner strength about yourself. You're like, I don't even know how I'm standing right now, but I am, because I'm on this journey to this thing that means something. So at the climax, this happens in the second part, the climax, you face like the ultimate test. It's the biggest obstacle that you face. It's the final battle. You have to sort of rally and you apply every lesson you learned along the way. You use every guide or help or whatever tool, weapon that you have gathered on your journey, and you use that to defeat the enemy, and you win, right? This is the hero's journey. You're the hero. You're not the loser. You're the winner. So there is a battle that you fight and you win, and you fight with all these tools that you've gained, and you have this tribe behind you, these people that you've gathered. Maybe it's friends, maybe it's a therapist, maybe it's some teacher, somehow, some mentor. They are standing with you. They're standing to the side. You typically don't journey by yourself and gain wisdom just out of the thin air, right? Someone's helping you and teaching you. Maybe those guides and mentors for you were books. Maybe they were podcasts. Maybe they were videos. But either way, you have some support. You have some positive words. You have something that's helping shift your inner demons to inner strengths, right? You're shedding your weaknesses. You're growing stronger. Whatever those things are, those are your tools that you help that help bolster you for the battle, that help strengthen you. They're your armor that you wear. You don't have to listen to this person anymore. You've found your confidence. You can block them out. Before, you wouldn't, and they were able to throw darts at you, right? So that's what phase 2 is. Phase 2, you're journeying, you're picking up the wisdom, you're fighting little battles, you're going on little hiccups. You're facing hiccups. I shouldn't even call them hiccups. That just sounds like an easy little thing. They're little bumps in the road. They're obstacles. You have to go around the thing blocking your path. You have to go over it. You might have to push it to the side. You might fall a couple times and have to get back up, right? That's what happens on a journey. So the book that I referenced, Come Home, the mom, she realizes, okay, she drags the girl back. The girl escapes again, right? The daughter escapes again. The mom is doing this dance with her. She finds her, she comes back. She finds maybe a support group, and there's maybe a treatment center, and she starts talking to people, reaching out to parents, reaching out to law enforcement. The state, steps in, and all of this. She's gathering her troops. She's gathering her tools to fight this battle. She's in battle. She's trying to drag her daughter back. That's her prize, is winning her daughter back. Ultimately, because this, the prize involves a second person, it's a little more complex, but ultimately the mom has to fight, the biggest battle of like allowing the daughter to take the reins of her own health and her own life. And I think that battle looks much different than you think of a battle in your head. It's an inner battle of strength and doubts and wanting to step in and control. But knowing that no matter how much she wanted to take the wheel, this was now going to be up to her daughter. Can you imagine as a mother standing back going, okay, I trust you. I trust that you're not going to lie to me again for the umpteenth time. I trust that you're not going to sneak out. I trust you're not going to use again when you tell me you're not. I trust that you're sober when you tell me you are. That trust is a huge battle. That's a huge battle. That's a huge enemy. So in her book, that's the battle she fought and won. So then the return, that's where the hero comes back home. You've fought, you've won. You now got to have this normal life again, but it's not going to be the same flavor as normal. You've undergone this personal transformation. You've gained something, you've evolved, you're new, you're anew. You're renewed, right? There's something about you that's different. You're never going to be that person again that was in the beginning, that was called into action. you're a different version. There's something about you that has either shed, you've grown stronger, and you've shed your old weaknesses, you've shed your old mindsets, you've saved yourself from harm or danger, you've healed your body and your mind and your heart. In this story, the daughter comes back home. She's got a lot of healing to do. She's got a lot of repair to do. She lives in a different world where she doesn't have the same friends. She missed like years of school. So now all of a sudden she's back in school trying to figure out how to be a kid again. When she's much more mature than most kids her age, because she's grown so immensely in this journey. This is a fun book to apply the hero's journey to, because there's really two protagonists, but they're almost an antagonist and a protagonist at the same time, and then they, team up. But anyway, I'm going to have to post in the comments what book I'm talking about, because I cannot think of it right now. But my point is, the return phase is where we see that conclusion. We see that you've grown. We've seen that you've overcome something. So you might not feel like you're going out and battling anything, but remember, you're overcoming challenges, you're learning, you are evolving, you're becoming a better person, you're saving yourself, protecting yourself. This applies to the divorce analogy, or illness, or death. It's going on a journey of self-discovery, but it's a journey. You're called to do something different that you haven't been doing. You're called to live differently, act differently, move differently, think differently. This could be an inner journey. You could be sitting on your couch the whole time, but in your head is where the battles are being fought. In your head, you are, dealing with all of the stuff, seeking out guidance and finding the tools that help you battle those inner thoughts. This is a journey that no matter who you are, you go on in life. It's how we grow. We don't grow without overcoming challenges. So this is a very human level way to look at your story, but it really does apply widely, and it really does help fit a lot of stories into this is very natural flow. So to find your story, if you're struggling with this journey, this concept of the hero's journey, to find your story, start with the end. Okay, what did you win? What was your ultimate prize? Where does your story end? Where do you feel concluded, right? And then how did you get there? That's the journey. Work yourself backwards. How did you get there? What steps did you take to get there? The beginning will be the place where you're called into action, where the journey started. That journey, that moment, something changed in your life. Something is different, and you are called to move. And that movement were those steps that led you to the prize. Okay? So maybe you're like a little leprechaun following the rainbow, and you're finding the treasure at the end, right? I don't care how you think about it, but the hero's journey is a really great way to help you outline and formulate your story. And again, like I said about the 3-act structure, you can use a different shape to this story. You don't have to start in the beginning. It doesn't have to be day 1, normal life, day 2, something changed, day 3, I go on my journey. You can start at the beginning and loop around and tell us how you got there and all of that. You can start at the end and go backwards. You can, really try to play with that timing a little bit. But this is just something I want you to think about as an organizational tool to help you map out your story. I've given you a lot of things to think about in the last few videos as far as story structure and shape and how to organize and outline your story. There is no right answer or wrong answer for memoir or books in general, but there is a right answer for you. And I want you to follow your instinct. I want you to follow your gut, which feels right for you. Investigate some of these different mapping tools and techniques, story structures, story guides, whatever you want to think about them, however you want to phrase them in your head. They're kind of, think of like a cookie cutter. You want to fit your story into something that feels right. And you don't want to jam a round peg into a square hole or a square peg into a round hole. I don't always know which one it is, but you know what I mean. Your story is going to be unique and different, but because you are a human, and we're all humans, there are some commonalities that we can really use to our advantage. It's not because your story sounds like everyone else's. It's because you're human just like everyone else. Okay? So that is the ultimate point. Follow your heart to something that really works. Follow your gut. If you have more questions, holler at me. I got answers. And if I don't, I'll find them for you. We'll have a discussion. So come back for my next video. We're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about something that I get asked a lot. Again, surprise, surprise, that's our theme of the month, common questions. So come back for the next one. I'll see you there.